Welcome to the Fitchburg Cultural Council normal monthly meeting. Today is Tuesday, August 17th. It is 4:34 p.m. Welcome, and we welcome the public as well. We have 4 members of the public here. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to talk about a number of things, but first of all, the Massachusetts Cultural Council is an organization at the state level. We are the local Fitchburg Cultural Council. We're volunteers, and we're here to help support the arts and culture and humanities in our lovely city of Fitchburg. We had an amazing event on Friday, August 13th. I think we did an amazing job, and I want to thank my council for all their hard work. We did a really good job, and thanks to the public for joining us. I think it was a real success. The public is going to speak as long as it pertains to the agenda, and I think we have some notes later on, so I'm going to hold your comments to later on when it has to pertain to the items on the agenda. So first of all, we're going to get started with the grantee updates and modifications, and I'm going to ask our grantee chair, Eileen, to assist us. We had one request for a modification from Knoll. It was the Thurston Consort, and I neglected to make that printout for all of us.
Yes.
Could you brief us on what we need to vote on regarding his adjustment?
Well, the Thurston Consort concert is a fundraiser for the Fitchburg Historical Association. And the fellow who's putting it together, Noel Pluff, began to get worried about having a human concert with real people. So he's asking if he could change what he's doing and do it virtually. And I said I would bring it to the council. I don't see a big problem with that, but I guess we have to vote on it, right? So
We do.
okay. So I would recommend a vote of aye, yes, that he can redo that the way he feels safest doing it.
Eileen, is he proposing to do that on the same date and time?
Yes.
Okay. So the only change is the format?
It's not going to be it's not going to be live.
Okay.
So what's your motion then? You're going to make a motion to make an adjustment to the Noel Plouffe's, the Thurston Consorts event?
Yes.
Would anyone like to speak to the motion?
We need a second first.
Any seconds?
I'll second.
Derek, you'll second? Anyone like to speak to the motion?
Has Noel talked, did he mention how he plans on promoting the virtual event?
Yes, he's got it all together.
Yeah, I think he discussed actually doing a CD and preparing it. There's some promotional ideas around that. I think it's great. I think this has been a really difficult year. So I think we'll do a vote now. All in favor of supporting Noel with his adjustments?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
The motion carries. So we've noted that we're going to approve the adjustment for Noel's grant for this cycle. Thank you, Eileen. Are there any other modifications or extensions we need to talk about? No, I didn't see any come in.
Not that I know of.
Okay. All right, we're going to do a treasurer's report. So first of all, we have, because of the grantee event that we have $434.53 that we need to vote to approve this spend so that we can submit the invoices to City Hall and have these paid. And these were for supplies, primarily printing, the pens, and the gift bags. Thank you so much, Claudia, for all your hard work on those. The numbers were sent around. The invoices Eileen has in a folder, and they'll go to City Hall. So I'd like to get a motion to approve what we spent for the grantee reception and public input meeting.
I motion that we approve what we spent for the event.
Second.
So we have so Eileen made the motion to approve our expenditures for the grantee reception public input meeting. Audrey seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion approved. And then I'd like to turn it over now to Eileen for the rest of our treasurer's report. She's done some work organizing things, and I think maybe you want to tell us a little bit about what you've done.
This is my first time as a treasurer, providing the treasurer's report. I'm not a numbers person, I'm a words person, so it was pretty fun putting it all together. So I've given out copies of, I'm proposing a new a layout for this. Rather than have it in words, I'd rather have it in numbers. I guess you can't see this out there, but this is more the way I'm used to looking at numbers, in which case our local funds are now at $2,835.55, of which $500 is for a scholarship, and we've expended $700, which was for the Sizer School Band. So our total local funds are $2,635.55. The Massachusetts Cultural Council's 2020 budget, which we've been tagging along with because so many of those events weren't able to be held because of the pandemic. So we've set them out so that they can hold their events up until the very end, December 31st of 2021. However, the city has closed out the budget. So we've got as much money as we're going to get for that. And we'll figure out how it works later. I'll talk about that a little bit next on the budget. But I want you to know that MCC, Massachusetts Cultural Council 2021, has a total of $43,100. That was our award for the grants. We so far have expended $23,540.08, and we have $19,559.92 left. Calvin Brooks, who's the financial officer for the city that I'm working with, wasn't able to, told me he had no encumbrances. That means that's for this, we'll figure it out next month, but I'm assuming that the encumbrances that will keep coming down will have to do both with the 2020 budget and the 2021 budget. This is a work in progress, and I'm expecting to get a few more tutorials on this before I work out my full program here. But so far, we're looking pretty good, and from what I understand, well, let's just go on to the next one. This is where I'm beginning to be afraid, because I've never done one of these before. But I'm heading down. At the end of this year, final reports will be due on the 2020 account and the 2021 account, and not only that, we'll probably know what we're going to get for 2022, right? That's 3 budgets. Fun, huh? Anyway, so I'm looking at 2020 here, and more than half, we've given money we have a policy of giving money out up front so that the artists have the money to go on with their program, which scares the life out of me, but that's our policy. But so anyway, right now I'm looking at the amount of money we've handed out for 2020. All these people have to have their projects done by the end of the year, and I don't even have half the final reports in. So what I'm proposing is that I start sending out to these people what's going on. I'm going to send them this so they can see their name and everybody else's name. And I'm going to tell them that we're really in a scrape here, that as soon as they could get their final reports in, or if they've changed their mind or anything like that, if they can't decide they can't have this, or like the Thurston concert, if they want to do something differently and they need a vote on it, let us know as soon as possible. So that's where I am today with 2020. At the next meeting, I'm going to put together the same kind of chart for the 2021 grants. And I intend to also send the same kind of missive out to them for that. So that's where we are.
Thank you, Eileen.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
This list, a lot of these are not from the FY21, so are these outstanding?
These are 2020.
Oh, okay.
I haven't done 2021 yet. I'll do that. I'll present them to you next time.
Excellent work. So I think the message to the public is, if you have an adjustment, we need to hear it. We'd like to get it voted in. We'd like to get your monies out to you. And if you haven't requested funds, we'd like the paperwork in as soon as possible so that we can get you paid. And I think that would be the message that we should give out to the public right now, right? So that we can get these funds used, because they're they're for the public, so we need to spend them. Anybody have any other comments on the treasurer's report and grantee section of the meeting here? Joe?
Nope.
No? Okay, we're going to move on to the new council priorities. This is the big one. So we had our council input event on Friday, and we had the survey, which our team did here, an amazing job putting the survey together. And Casey organized the materials post-survey input. And I've put together a proposed list with some adjustments from last year, some changes based on what I heard. We all read Matt's notes as well from the meeting on Friday. And so what I thought I would do, since the public doesn't have a copy of this, is I'll just briefly skim through them. If anybody wants to make a motion at any point or have any discussion, let me know. We'll just have a discussion.
Just a point of clarification, you'll read
read through
the document in its entirety?
Can I?
For the record, yes, you
Yes.
should.
Okay.
I can pass around my copy.
It's for the public. 'cause
Yeah,
they
this
can't
is
see.
for the public record, the video recording, and
Okay.
So for the so for our 2022 grantee season, these are suggested priorities that we'll vote on today. All applicants and supplemental materials must be submitted online. For special assistance, they can contact the Fitchburg Cultural Council via the Gmail account, fitchburg.mcc@gmail.com. For additional questions, they can call 978-829-1804. Based on feedback online and from attendees at its annual community input meeting, thank you for attending, the Fitchburg Cultural Council will prioritize the following. Number one, priority will be given to applicants who live and work in Fitchburg and who offer programs and presentations that specifically benefit a wide range of audiences in the Fitchburg community. Number two, priority will be given to applications reaching teens, the disabled, and people of color with special attention to teens, low-income, and immigrant communities. Priority will also be given to educational programming in the schools and for teens and school-age children. This will include educational programming for all sectors of the community, including but not limited to the disabled and people of color, low-income, and immigrant communities. This also includes assisting artists, musicians, performers with supplies to offer classes to Fitchburg's youth. Educational programming will include technical assistance or training for startups and businesses that desire to open in Fitchburg. Number four, we'll prioritize funding for live community gatherings, events, festivals, performances, networking events, and public markets that can be made free to the public and that celebrate Fitchburg's local history, culture, and diversity and support networking among community groups. Number five, we will offer operating support-based funding expenses for artist residencies, artist affordable housing projects, funding supplies for arts and cultural programming, funding ticket subsidy programs, funding for the day-to-day operations of an organization that provides arts and culture programming, funding for individual artist materials to do their work, funding for streaming platforms for virtual programming. Number six, in an effort to respond to the request for more media attention via our own platforms and contacts, we will prioritize events where PR is included in the proposal and even expense requests for PR services. We will also prioritize projects based around marketing and outreach to get the message of Fitchburg's cultural programming out to the rest of the Commonwealth. Number seven, due to the pandemic, events and projects on Zoom or other video or streaming platforms that sustain expenses related to audio, video recording, et cetera, will be considered. The requirements, give me a second to flip the page. A letter of support. If you do not live or work in the city of Fitchburg, you're required to provide a letter of support from your project, performance, venue, or local partner. Number two, time and venue required. Applicants must specify an arranged venue for their activity and a specific date or range of dates. If your event is confirmed but the date for your event has not been set, you must provide a letter from your venue detailing their intent to set a date for your project. Partners and advisors. When you're listing local contributors, partners, please provide names and list their qualifications and in what way they will be assisting you. Notes on funding. In order to fund as many viable projects as possible, the Fitchburg Cultural Council will be capping grants at 1,000. You may wish to request more than 1,000 and are welcome to include it in your application. If after granting monies to all viable projects, there are still remaining funds to be dispersed, the council will award additional funds according to the priorities listed above. Funding sources. As always, we encourage applicants to seek multiple sources for funding. On your application, you must list all other sources of financial assistance and grants that you have applied for and/or received. If your project will not happen without funding from the Fitchburg Cultural Council, you must let us know. For links to other programs and grants offered by the Mass Cultural Council, please visit massculturalcouncil.org/programs-programs.asp. Our grant training sessions, there will be 3. That needs to be amended to 2. 2 grant training sessions held during the 2021 open application season virtually. Attendees will be guided through the entire application and reporting process, leaving time for questions at the end. Both sessions will be held on Zoom and in person, and that's to be determined at the moment. We have 2 dates in place. So I'd like to open this up to a discussion. This is sort of my adjusted version based on last year's with this year's notes in the survey. So I'd like to open it up to the council.
I have a few suggestions. One, shortening the way how it's phrased from, instead of saying one priority will be given to it, just say applicants
What part of the document, Audrey, are
Which
you referring
number?
to?
1 through 3. So starting with 1, applicants who live or work in Fitchburg and/or who offer programs, and I think this should be added, applications that demonstrate that their program will have a Fitchburg audience or will benefit the Fitchburg community will be prioritized. And then scratching out the rest of that sentence. And then,
Audrey, can I ask you to repeat that, please?
yeah, applicants,
Or number 1? Or you're proposing in one sentence to replace priorities 1, 2, and 3?
yeah, so for number 1, change it to applicants who live or work in Fitchburg and/or who offer programs and applications that demonstrate that their program will have a Fitchburg audience or will benefit the Fitchburg community will be prioritized. Number 3 would just be a rewording. Educational programming for teens, school-aged children, the disabled, people of color, low-income, and immigrant communities. Educational programming may include technical assistance or trainings for startups and businesses that desire to open in Fitchburg, as well as assisting artists, musicians, performers, with supplies to offer classes to Fitchburg's youth.
I think in both situations, this is semantics on the writing style. I'd like to know in number 1, 2, and 3 specifically what is missed and what needs to be added. I think that would be...
If it's okay, I'd like to suggest that we take one priority at a time and vote to agree on change.
Okay.
I think it'll be easier than to modify the document and by memory try to recall if we can vote on it correctly.
Yeah. Agreed.
So let's start with number 1. Specifically, what do we need to change in number 1?
Adding in applications that demonstrate that their program will have a Fitchburg audience or will benefit the Fitchburg community will be prioritized. I was looking at, for example, virtual programs and how last year there were some that, because it's a virtual program, it can reach anyone anywhere in the world. How do we know that they're reaching a Fitchburg audience? So if they include, well, because I'm from Fitchburg, I'm going to invite all these people that I know in the community, or I live in the North Shore, but I'm going to reach out to FATV and have it air on FATV. I'm going to do this and this and this. I'm going to advertise to the Fitchburg community. And I think that would make us more likely to consider their program.
So we've already said we prioritize people who live and work in Fitchburg. And then the second part is programs and presentations that benefit Fitchburg. So I think that's kind of covering what you want to cover.
I was just thinking that it clarifies it.
Sounds good to me, actually, the way it's written now. It doesn't exclude anybody. I mean, in the past, we have taken people from outside Fitchburg. In the past, we've, so I think it's the way, it's simple now, it's understandable, and it doesn't really, it gives us some room there, but our priority really has to be of and about Fitchburg.
Right, that's why I wanted to, if they are not from Fitchburg, but their program is going to benefit Fitchburg, our community, we need to know that.
I have trouble understanding you. It's
I'll
the
take off my mask.
I'm sorry, Audrey. It's the mask.
If they're not from Fitchburg or near here, but their program is going to benefit the Fitchburg community, we need to know that they are thinking about us and that,
I tend to side with Tamar. I think it's there. It's just a little bit of how it's written, So it says, specifically benefit a wide range of audiences in the Fitchburg community.
Okay.
So it seems like it's there for me.
So just as a point of order, I think it would be appropriate for a motion to approve Audrey's proposal, and if it receives a second, we can open it up for further discussion. Otherwise, the motion will fail, and we'll move on to item number 2.
Fair enough. So would anyone like to make a motion to accept Audrey's adjustments?
So you need a motion to approve this as written? Well, then I so move.
As it is written now.
Sorry,
I think we need to vote on it regardless, right?
Yeah, Eileen is making a motion.
If there's no one willing to make a motion to approve Audrey's changes, we can make a motion to approve item number 1.
I would like to make a motion
To do what, Audrey?
to change it to applicants who live or work in Fitchburg and/or who offer programs and applications that demonstrate that their program will have a Fitchburg audience or will benefit the Fitchburg community will be prioritized. Or actually, you don't have to add the will be prioritized at the end.
Thank you, Joe David. All right, so let's back up. Audrey's making a motion to amend the text with the text she just read. Would anyone like to second the motion?
So there's no second. The motion fails. So we
Okay. So
we
can-
would
Can
take a motion to any other changes or accept it as written.
I'd like to motion that we accept it as written.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll move on to number 2.
Was that unanimous?
It was unanimous.
Audrey, you agreed?
I was looking, was that a vote for the entire document?
It was just for item number 1.
Oh, the first one?
We're going item by item.
Aye. Shouldn't the members of the public have a chance to speak on this, though? Because
This was
they
a-
haven't had a chance to speak on any parts of the agenda yet.
So at the beginning of the meeting, there was an opportunity to speak to parts of the agenda,
Oh, okay.
and no one came forward.
I know I have some comments at the end on a couple of things.
know that you were going to give a summary of that this, what you're speaking about right now was taken from a survey. I did not know that you were going to be condensing that into your recommendation. So I personally think we should do this.
Did you have a comment?
Read it again, the first one.
It's your call.
Priority will be given to applicants who live or work in Fitchburg and/or who offer programs and presentations that specifically benefit a wide range of audiences in the Fitchburg community.
In my opinion, I don't think an applicant has to live or work in Fitchburg, but their venue must be in Fitchburg. That whatever they're doing for performance, for artists, they can go and apply for grants and get money from a lot of other people. That's okay. If we give you a grant, you must do it.
Yeah, last year we had some that did not live here, and it went through because the programming was for the city, it was for the community. So, yeah, the priority is given to people that live here, but, we were flexible last year, depended on the application. So, thank you for the comment. We're going to move on to number 2. This is priority will be given to applications reaching teens, the disabled, people of color with special attention to teens, low income, and immigrant communities.
Question. How do we know that people are in this category? Are you going to add something to the grant to, are you in one of these specialized categories?
Well, I'd like to comment on that. Number 3 really focused on this a little more. I kept reading in the survey, there was a heavy desire from the community for programming in schools. Like, I felt that was overwhelming. And for students, for arts programming, training for kids. So I think number 3 kind of covers that more specifically. But I felt like that's what the community was asking for. I think we had a lot of comments about diversity as well on Friday. So how do we know? I think we would know when the applications come in, especially from school organizations, and when they put that in their application, who their focus will be. Whether it's at the senior center, for example, or it's at one of the schools. So that would be one way to know, or if it's an actual teen program, like through Luck, for example. So, does that answer the question?
I understand number 3, because of course you're reading, where this is coming and who it's for, so it's obviously, you can tell what's education. We do an awful lot of that. But I'm not sure whether I'd be reading through a grant and know whether the person who's doing that was disabled or doing it for disabled. And I just wonder whether we need, a clarification on the grant. Are you part of a special group?
If I could speak to that. So in the process of going over the applications, we would know that information based on the groups that they're telling us they would be working with. So if they say, we will be working with the Arc of Opportunity for such and such a program that we're looking for funding for, we would know that this program will benefit underserved population of various communities.
Okay, all right, well.
Do you want to adjust that to be a little more
I don't
specific?
know, I'm on the fence. I'm a newbie here, relative, and I'm not sure I'd know what every organization was, but I think I can rely on the other members of the council to understand everything that's going.
So I can add some additional context to the discussion for this. The intent of these priorities is to put out for the grantees who are interested in applying what we're looking for, and it is up to the grantee to demonstrate that their application represents a way to fill the priority requests that we have from the public.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but we can do background information research on applicants when they submit proposals?
We can investigate anything about the applicants if we wish down the road, and we can defer and ask them questions for follow-up if we have the time. It really depends on how many applications we receive and how much time we have to get them passed through.
Yeah, and to add on that, it's up to the applicants to read our priorities and consider the priorities and include it in their application and what they're saying, to say that this is going to there's going to be members of the disabled community that will be attending the event, or we're going to advertise to so-and-so community or something like that.
Does that help, Eileen?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, should we make an adjustment to number 2?
I have a question. I know that earlier I had some structural adjustments and that there were semantics, but at what point do those get addressed, if not now?
Now would be the time on number 2.
So my suggestion of shortening it from, instead of including priority will be given to, and just going cut to the chase, it'll look a lot better formatting-wise on the form or on the internet.
I think the word priority is helpful.
It will say council priorities on top.
I know.
Okay.
All right, let's take a motion on number 2. Would anyone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion
To approve number 2 as written.
Second.
So we have a motion to approve from Eileen, a second from Casey, to approve number 2 as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll move to number 3. This is focused on education. I felt everything that we saw in that graph pointed to teens, young people needing support, schools needing support, educational programming needing more support. So number 3, does anyone have any comments on this? It says priority will be given to educational programming in the schools for teens and school-aged children. This will include educational programming for all sectors of the community, including but not limited to the disabled and people of color, low-income, and immigrant communities. This also includes assisting artists, musicians, performers with supplies to offer classes to Fitchburg's youth. Educational programming will include technical assistance or trainings for startups and businesses that desire to open in Fitchburg. And that was a direct result from that young man who spoke on Friday at length.
I would like to speak on this one, and it might be redundant, but as you said, there was an overwhelming desire from the participants of the survey to see STEAM education in both schools and for adults be increased in the community, and as you said, education across the board for our local artists, assistance with business management, pretty much whatever people can be taught how to do, they want it. So we should not exclude anything in that specific area.
I have a suggestion structurally. It doesn't change anything that's written on here, but maybe clarifies. Changing it to educational programming for teens, school-aged children, the disabled, people of color, low-income, and immigrant communities. Educational programming may include technical assistance or trainings for startups and businesses that desire to open in Fitchburg, as well as assisting artists, musicians, performers with supplies to offer classes to Fitchburg's youth.
Any other comments? Casey,
I liked Audrey's adjustment.
would you like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve Audrey's adjustment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So the motion was to approve Audrey's adjustment. We have that from Casey, a second from Audrey. If anyone wants to speak to the motion, we've already approved it. That was my mistake. All right, I like it as well. I think we take it.
Okay.
Can you please email that to me?
Will do.
Thank you. Let's move to number 4. We will prioritize funding for live community gatherings, events, excuse me.
May I just make
Yes.
a semantic comment with regard to the list of folks on the past phrasing? It says musicians and performers. Musicians are performers. So I would say musicians and other performers for a future thought.
I like it, fair enough. Yeah, we want to make sure we include theater and dance. I think we had that on Friday night as well. All right, number 4. This was exciting. This was the very first comment we had on Friday. We'll prioritize funding for live community gatherings, events, festivals, performances, networking events, and public markets that can be made free to the public and that celebrate Fitchburg's local history, culture, and diversity, and support networking among community groups. Any thoughts on this? This was overwhelming, I thought, as well. I think they want us to do an art fair.
Yes.
I don't think it's a bad idea.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yes, Eileen?
Well, I agree. I think we should have at least 1 and maybe 2 festivals that put Fitchburg on the map. I thought, who was that person? Do you know who the?
Iffy Jenny Agasiusberg. Yep,
Oh,
she's a
well,
Fitchburg
that
resident.
That was terrific. I really liked her proposal. I also have to say, I really like the way all these proposals are written, too. So it's hard for me, I know you're making some changes here and there, it's hard for me to picture what you're doing because
I just want to make sure we all approve them.
it's in your mind. So,
All right, so would anyone like to speak further to number 4 here?
I'll move to approve number 4 as written.
I second that.
second, oh, go ahead.
Anyone speaking to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, number 5. This is a takeoff from last year. Only slight adjustments here. It says we will offer operating support-based funding. Funding expenses for artist residencies, artist affordable housing projects is the only adjustment that I made from last year. funding supplies for arts and cultural programming, funding ticket subsidy programs, funding for the day-to-day operations of an organization that provides arts and culture programming, funding for individual artists, materials to do their work, funding for streaming platforms for virtual programming, which came from COVID last year. Any comments on this one? Again, I think there was an overwhelming need for housing, affordable housing, artist housing, so
Have we
that's...
ever gotten a proposal for affordable housing?
Excuse me?
Have we ever gotten a proposal for affordable housing? I don't
No.
remember.
No.
I didn't think so. But so this is something new. Well, we couldn't pay, I don't know that we could even make a dent in somebody's affordable housing needs.
One month. 1 month
That's
for
true.
one.
But I put it in there because the artist mentioned that, I think that's the whole topic New View is discussing, is the gentrification with the art stewards, but I think it would be good to have it in there in case we can be helpful in that area.
Okay.
Any other comments?
There's a member of the public.
So by putting it that way, are you saying that someone can apply for their first month's rent?
No, I was joking about that. It's not,
Hear that?
All these priorities still have to comply with the Mass Cultural Council priorities, that the funds are going towards arts, culture, sciences, and humanities. So we would not pay somebody's rent, as an example.
I imagine that in order for it to qualify, would have to be a program that gives like maybe a discount, a subsidy for rent for a large amount of people. It wouldn't be like an individual asking for 1 month's rent.
Like an artist in residence.
Yeah, exactly. Like if it was a program that offered residencies for artists and stuff.
Like, which is what we're hoping BF Brown, as soon as that gets off the ground. I mean, we're all anxious for that to happen. If there was a way we could assist with that, that's a big deal.
I was certainly picturing shared workspaces too, not living, but a shared, something that can be, rented, so to speak, for a short period of time.
Yeah. And artist residencies would be like studios, right, then?
Residencies are where an artist applies to come here for some reason. Maybe the museum would offer a residency, and then they basically fund it. The artist comes here, works here, gets a show here.
Usually get like a stipend, right?
Yeah, they do. Okay, so would anyone like to make an adjustment on number 5 or a motion?
I make a motion to approve number 5 as it is.
Second?
So we have a motion from Derek to approve number 5 as written, from Casey to second. Anyone speaking to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Move to number 6. In an effort to respond to the request for more media attention via our own platforms and contacts, we'll prioritize events where PR is included in the proposal and even expense requests for PR services. We will also prioritize projects based around marketing and outreach to get the message of Fitchburg's cultural programming out to the rest of the Commonwealth. And this is exactly a takeoff on last year's. The only addition is the last sentence, because I felt the community requested that we get the message out further than Fitchburg, and that seemed to be also overwhelming to me on Friday. So I adjusted the final sentence. Any adjustments to number 6?
One adjustment, just adding publicity, at the very beginning, so that highlights.
Okay, adding publicity, at the very beginning with the rest of number 6. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to make that adjustment
Second.
and accept it the rest of the way it is.
Okay, so we have a motion from Audrey to approve as written with the adjustment of adding the word publicity at the beginning, with a second from Casey. Anyone speaking to the motion?
I have nothing against that. I just want to make a quick note. I think that was another thing that was an overwhelming response we got, was that we might be falling short with our outreach and getting, like, we have the programs, but nobody knows about them. So that's something that we really need to focus on in the coming months, is getting the artists and the other programs the attention they need with our platform. So I think it's important, and it's somewhere where maybe we're falling short a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I'm okay with the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 6 carries. Thank you. Number 7 is exactly as last year. Due to the pandemic, events or projects on Zoom or other video or streaming platforms that sustain expenses related to audio, video recording, et cetera, will be considered. And this is exactly as last year. Any comments here? Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'm just going to make it.
We don't get a whole bunch of, I honestly hope we don't get a whole bunch of Zoomers in. I'm tired of looking at television. I really think, I think that sort of goes without saying, okay, if a pandemic or a plague comes or something like that, we'll have to come with other things. But I don't want to encourage people to do everything on television. I mean, we want to encourage people to come to Fitchburg, to come to town, to see what's going on, not to sit in front of their televisions. So I say we strike 7.
Things are not going well pandemic-wise right now, and so virtual programming might make a comeback, unfortunately.
It might.
Like, due to circumstances.
I think we should,
Have to be a priority, however, does it?
I think we should err on the side of safety. I know the city legislative buildings have a mask mandate going into play on the 23rd, so
Yeah.
I think we should be cautious until.
And Mass Cultural Council recommended it too.
And I also think it gets, if people are participating, it's important, however they participate, you know what I mean? Of course we want them here, but if we have, a live event and it's also streamed for another 100, 150 people, then we're doing what we're supposed to, we're getting it out there. I know it stinks, but.
No, I'll go
forget.
I'll go with the council, but I stand on record that I don't think we should, certainly we shouldn't prioritize it.
If I could, so I do encourage,
Fair enough, but I'd like to get a motion soon.
I do encourage number 7. I wonder if it's not redundant from number 5, at the end where we say funding for individual artist materials do their work, funding for streaming platforms for virtual programming.
I agree with you, Casey. Anyone want to make a motion to strike or keep number 7?
I feel like number 7, oh, sorry, that's more speaking on it.
Can I have a motion from someone on the council, please?
Motions to strike 7?
There's a motion on the table to strike number 7 from Casey.
I'm sorry?
Do you want to second that? She made the
A
motion.
motion on the table is
strike it, yes,
to strike
I
number
second
7.
Eileen seconds it. All in favor?
I'd like to I would like to speak to the motion. So I feel like having it as a separate number 7, that says that we are, well, number 5 is saying that we will pay for, we will consider paying for streaming platforms to have a virtual program, versus number 7 is that we will, one of our priorities will be virtual programming. So I do feel like that those are slightly two separate things.
With you.
And then also, I just wanted to clarify, on the survey, I had included the question, should we have additional requirements for virtual programming? But overwhelmingly, everyone thought that I was asking if virtual programming should be required, which was not what I meant.
But the response was positive for continuing virtual access.
Yes.
So we have a motion on the table to strike number 7 from Casey, and
Can I redact my motion if I no longer agree with myself?
you can.
Thank you. I would like to do that.
So where are we?
So we're starting over. Who would like to make a motion to pass number 7 as written?
I would like to make a motion to pass number 7 as is.
Second.
First from Audrey, second from Casey. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 7 passes. In the interest of
I didn't see a
time,
vote from Eileen. I'm sorry.
excuse me?
No. I get to say nay, don't I?
You do.
Yes.
So we'll have it on record that Eileen is not in favor of number 7. In the interest of time, I would like to have a motion to approve the rest, which is all from last year. There are no adjustments.
I make a motion to approve.
Can I speak to the motion?
Yes,
Are these all available online for the public to read?
they absolutely will be.
Excellent.
I'd like to speak to the motion also, but do we need a second first? I'll second. except my second is an adjustment. I think for number 2, time venue required, I think we should adjust it to applicants must specify at least one arranged venue for their activity and a specific date or range of dates. All applicants must provide a letter from your venue detailing their intent to set a date for your project. This way, I know that last year we funded a program that was for live summer concerts, so there were multiple dates, multiple venues, and also I would feel more comfortable if we knew not just from outside Fitchburg applicants, all applicants that are having a venue-specific event, that at least one venue has agreed to host them.
That's fair enough. We did have that problem last year. So we have a, go ahead.
Sorry, are you, I just want to clarify, are you proposing that applicants have only one venue in mind?
At least one.
At least one, okay.
So there's a motion on the table. It needs to be withdrawn if we intend to vote on that change.
I'll withdraw my motion.
So let's have a new motion to approve number 2 with the adjustments.
Second.
Anyone else speaking to this motion? So this is to approve everything on the rest of the document except number 2 with the adjustments that Audrey just mentioned about having at least one venue specified.
A second adjustment would be just putting grant training sessions under the council about section, because we will be able to edit that in case we decide to add an additional section. The way how the Mass Council, Cultural Council won't.
They will be added, obviously, because we don't have any information here at the end.
Right, but on the Mass Cultural Council new website, we can't adjust our council priorities, so if we just put it in that section, that will allow us to change the dates or add dates if we need to.
Okay, now I got lost, so I'm happy to make that adjustment.
Great.
Second.
I'd like to just recommend that we make reference to the new location for that specific item, since we can't change it on their website.
Yeah, I was planning on doing that. Okay, so where were we? We need to get this approved. Who made the first motion?
I withdrew.
Derek withdrew.
I make a motion to accept the council guidelines as is, with the exception of number 2, with saying applicants must specify at least one arranged venue for their activity and a specific date or range of dates. All applicants must provide a letter from your venue detailing their intent to set a date for your project. And we're moving grant training sessions to the council about section.
Second.
All in favor?
Anyone speaking to the motion?
Anyone speaking to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Council priorities are set for the next grant cycle. I'm very excited. We have 10 minutes. The new grant trainings are for the public, Wednesday, September 15th, from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Thank you to Fitchburg State University for offering us Hammond Hall G11. The second grant training is Thursday, September 23rd, from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Thank you to Fitchburg State University for offering Hammond Hall G11. So these dates are set.
There's only
State?
2 of them, right?
There's only 2.
Because it says 3 under grant training.
Yeah, that was my mistake on last year's.
It
Yeah,
gave me heart failure.
I know.
I'm doing the grant
That was my
training.
mistake. All right, so I want to move on. Is there any questions or comments? I hope we can all attend. Eileen will be counting on you. I will be there. Hope you guys can attend as well. Fitchburg Open Studios, we don't have much time because I have the public here and I want to get to a couple things here. Fitchburg Open Studios is great. We've got everything set. The brochures are done. Hold the date. The first Saturday in September will be a pickup date for signs and brochures for the artists, to be determined. If Capodagle is at the art gallery, I don't have that date set in stone, but that's the tentative date. And we've talked to the city about signage And I think we are going to do yard signs as opposed to the expenditure of a large sign and having to go through the process for the large city.
I found out today too that the Greek Festival brought their application in today for the John Fish Highway on Main Street.
Oh.
We're having a high time reaching 200. So their applications, John Fish, if you want to do it, that's what you want.
So it's easier just to stick with the yard signs and keep it simple. So that's a quick Open Studios update. I'm going to move quickly on to the winter projects because we have Catherine Healy here who had some ideas, and also Joan David has graciously offered City Hall for a possible winter bazaar, possibly. We wanted to do something similar to what Leominster does, where they open the doors of City Hall, they allow artists to come in and vend whatever they would like to vend. Catherine came to our grantee reception and public input meeting, thank you, and she had some ideas, so I'd like to let maybe one of you, we'll go by alphabetical order. Maybe Catherine, would you like to start and give us a quick synopsis of your idea, which I think would dovetail really nicely with what Joan David suggested for City Hall?
And Catherine and Joan, if you could go to the podium so that this could be recorded for the public, that'd be great. Thank you.
And if you could spell your name, Catherine, for me, that would be
Yes,
helpful.
yes, that's fine. Good evening. My name's Catherine Healy. It's Healey. Okay, thank you. Really excited to be here today, and thank you for the opportunity to share the idea, which is seemingly in line with everything everybody's saying about getting the arts community together with educating the youth and reaching out to everybody. So the idea that I had is something like I don't have an exact name for it yet, however, like a hobbyist gilded fair, in the theme of a college fair. Mind you, this has not been done before. It's in my mind, so it's a vision that I'm having for Fitchburg to reach out to the community and have various members from elementary school, junior high, high school, college, retired, and everybody in the community to expose their skills, their hobbies, not necessarily going to have people purchasing from them, but in a manner of which you can come and chat, take a lesson, learn, chit-chat, trade the skills, get inspired, in conjunction with possibly some other function, because it's in my mind some way that I'd like to bolster hobbyists and getting people, not to say exclusively offline, but yes, bring them offline, and possibly have it as a combination where I teach as well, so it's like getting the kids to come out of the classroom, out of their iPads, and again, not to exclude one or the other, but to try to bring back that whole concept of being in a town square, being with granny, gramps, aunt, uncle, and just sharing the skills and offering an opportunity for such a concept. My quirky name would be like a Gilder's fair. I don't know, again, in the vein of like a college fair where you're learning and exchanging ideas. So that's the concept.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
I thought it was really exciting, and
Still working on the details.
okay, I thought it was really exciting. And I don't know if you had a couple comments, Joan. I was amazed that you offered us City Hall, and so I thought it would be fun to have a winter bazaar. And I thought her idea fits right in. So I don't know if you have any comments, Joan David, for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you.
Do you have my name?
I have your name spelled.
I offered to possibly use City Hall once I heard you talk about Leominster doing it. I have never been to that fair in Leominster, but I pictured the north meeting room up on the third floor, which is very large, and downstairs on the main floor, we have an east and a west meeting room too. When you first walk in, our foyer is huge, so we would have place to put artists. That sounds like a wonderful idea too. Either there or the senior center. The senior center sets up really nice. We've had different events there, resource fairs where we have, many, many vendors set up, and people go up and down the aisles, and it works out good. And then we have food in the kitchen, and then people can sit in the little dining area to eat. So the senior center would offer more, but either place would be nice.
So for us to work with the city so that we could use City Hall, could you give us a list of possible dates, maybe in December, when we could do
Yes.
something?
Right.
And then maybe we could work with Catherine to come up with a solution, some
That,
ideas?
or the senior center.
Okay.
Too.
I'd love to show off City Hall if you'd let us.
Well, that's what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
pull people downtown too, and we've got plenty of parking on Main Street, and we could have them, going to many different places of the building. So we can speak about it some more.
Okay.
Okay.
I love it. Thank you guys so much for coming here and talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Claudia, I'll be in touch because I think you'd be wonderful for helping with this too. I'm volunteering you. Obviously, I'll help. I have some ideas. I think it would be great. All right, so if we could quickly run through some things, I hope you guys got to read them. I sent them to you last night. There's 3 meeting minutes from Tuesday, July 20th, June 7th, the PR subcommittee, and June 15th, our regular council meeting. And then we had the meeting that Matt sent us the minutes for the 13th, which was Friday. So I would like to get them all passed in so that they're filed and approved. And I'd like one motion, unless anyone has any adjustments.
You need a motion?
I do need a motion.
How about I provide a motion for the rest of the details on the meeting, including the past minutes and the FCC-TV update. I move that we go ahead as stated with these and that we approve the minutes.
Thank you.
So just a motion to approve minutes?
A motion to approve minutes. Second. Anyone speaking to the motion?
Second? Oh,
Yep, we got a first from Eileen, a second from Derek. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So for Matt, for the record, the meeting minutes from the 20th of July, the 7th of June, the 15th of June, and the 13th of August are final. I think we don't have time for an FCC TV update since it's already 5:30 and I want to get us out on time. So I'm going to pass that off to the next meeting. I think our team's doing an amazing job. Well done, hard work. They did a great job on Friday night as well with filming.
Can we
Any
at least give them a
comments?
plug on when the show airs so people can tune in?
Please do.
FCC TV airs on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Yeah.
On FAT?
On
On FATV, Fitchburg Access Television, the public channel. Also on fatv.org.
Great job, everybody. Thank you so much to the public for attending today. We really appreciate it. We are looking for new members, so if anyone would like to speak to us about that, we're actively looking for new participants and volunteers. We know some of you are talking to us about it. We appreciate that. And at this time, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn this meeting at 5:32 p.m. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So a motion from Eileen to adjourn at 5:32 p.m., second from Audrey. All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned.